Today we're going to talk about solving quadratic equations by the quadratic formula. So a legendary formula here. Quadratic formula is when we have a quadratic, ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. We can use a quadratic formula where x is going to equal negative b plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, so 4 times a times c, all being divided by 2a. So that is the quadratic formula. Negative b plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. We can actually gather a lot of information right from in here, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but that's actually a pretty key component of the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula can be used for any sort of quadratic, either factorable or non-factorable. And if it's factorable, then you'll just get some like x equals 5, x equals 6, like that kind of answer. So it's very useful. Same thing with like completing the square. You can do completing the square for any sort of quadratic, but let's just jump into it. So number 1, solve the following using the quadratic formula. Number 1, x squared plus 2x minus 3 equal to 0. So we are going to, so this is a, this is b, this is c. If you want to write out a equals 1, b equals 3, c equals negative 3, that's fine. But I'm just going to jump right into it. So x is going to equal negative b, so negative 2, plus and minus the square root of b squared, so 2 squared, minus 4 times our a term of 1 times our c term of negative 3, all over 2 times 1. So again, a was equal to 1, b was equal to 2, c is equal to negative 3. So let's clean up the inside of the radical here. So negative 2 plus and minus the square root of 2 squared is 4. Minus 4 times 1 is 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. And I'm just kind of showing you the process. Probably moving forward, I'll just do a calculator for the inside there rather than taking the time to multiply all this out, but just kind of showing you the process of this. So that would be negative 2 plus and minus the square root of 4 minus the negative 12 is 4 plus 12, which is 16, all over 2. Negative 2 plus minus square root of 16 is 4, all over 2. So then that generates two answers because we have to now do negative 2 plus 4, all over 2, and negative 2 minus 4, all over 2. Negative 2 plus 4 is positive 2 over 2, which is 1. Negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6 over 2, which is negative 3. So those are our two answers, 1 and negative 3. And if you go back to the beginning, just think about this. If I was given this quadratic and I asked you to factor, you would think about two numbers that multiply to negative 3 add up to 2. That would be x minus 3 and x plus 1, because negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. Negative 3 plus 1 is 2. Sorry, did I flip that? Yeah, it should be positive 3, negative 1. Sorry about that, yeah. Positive 3, negative 1, because 3 times negative 1 is negative 3, but 3 plus negative 1 is positive 2. So then that would be our factors. You set each of these equal to 0, x equals negative 3, x equal to 1, same thing. But like I said, though, we're going to be looking at non-factorable quadratics most of the time here, but I'm just kind of showing you that the quadratic formula gives you the exact same answers if you're able to factor, which we got 1, negative 3. Let's move on. So number 2, 2x squared plus 9x plus 10. The leading term is 2. We don't need the leading term to be 1 like how we did with completing the square. So we can just treat a as 2. So a is equal to 2. B is equal to 9. C is equal to 10. In case you need to see it while we plug it in. So negative b is going to be negative 9 plus and minus the square root of b squared, so 9 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is 10, all over 2 times a, which is 2. And now moving forward, like I'm not going to sit here and multiply all this out. I'm just going to go to my calculator. So in my calculator, I'm going to do 9 squared minus 4 times the a term, which is 2, times the b term. No, sorry, did I say b? I meant c. So 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is 10. Which on the inside of there, you just get 1. Yeah. Because it's 81 minus 80. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 10 is 80. So you get the square root of 1. Whoops. Negative 9 plus minus square root of 1 all over 4. Which makes this negative 9 plus minus square root of 1 is 1 all over 4. Separate into our two answers, negative 9 plus 1 over 4, and negative 9 minus 1 over 4. Both of these are going to be some sort of fraction. Oh, the first one actually not. Negative 9 plus 1 is negative 8 over 4, which is negative 2. Negative 9 minus 1 is negative 10 over 4. So that's going to be negative 5 over 2. Yep, there we go. So those are our two answers. Negative 2, negative 5 over 2. Now, number 3, let me double check. Okay, yeah, so number 3, 10x squared plus 2x equal to 3. This is not in the form of this. ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. We have to get it in that form, and then we could jump into the quadratic formula here. So let me move this down. So we want to subtract 3 from both sides. We want to get it into that equal to 0 form. So 10x squared plus 2x minus 3 equal to 0. Now we can use quadratic formula. So a equal to 10, b equals 2, c equals negative 3. So x is going to equal negative b, so negative 2, plus and minus the square root of b squared, so 2 squared, minus 4 times my a term, which is 10, times my c term, which is negative 3, all over 2 times 10. I'm going to move this out of the way because I know I'm going to run out of room here since I'm running at the bottom of my document here. Okay. So let's take care of the inside. So 2 squared minus 4 times 10 times negative 3. So on the inside I get 124. So let's go here. So x equals negative 2 plus and minus the square root of, I always double check my calculation, 2 squared minus 4 times 10 times negative 3. So that looks good. Yeah, over 20. 124, we can simplify that radical. So 124, I'm going to do that right here. So square root of 124 is 4 times 31. So the square root of 4 is 2, so that's going to be 2 root 31. So I will have x equals negative 2 plus and minus 2 square root 31 all over 20. Not done yet, because there's something to see here. See how I have a 2 and a 2? So it's 2 plus minus 2 root 31. And then on the bottom is a 20. 2 goes into 20. So what I can do is I can factor out a 2 and then simplify with that 20. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to factor out a 2. So that's going to leave me with negative 1 plus and minus the square root of 31 over 20. So then the 2 and the 20 simplify to, this is going to be negative 1 plus minus square root of 31 over 10. So then I'd have negative 1 plus square root of 31 over 10 and negative 1 minus square root of 31 over 10. Yeah, so there's some factoring there. We take out this factor of 2 and simplify with the 20. So 2 over 20 simplifies down to 1/10. So then you just get 10 on the bottom. Nice move there that you got to catch. Quadratic formula is nice because we don't have to worry about this a term. That's what's really nice about the quadratic formula. We're completing the square. You need that a term to be 1, so you had to divide by 10 on all of these, which makes like messy fractions, kind of makes it a little bit hard to deal with at times. But quadratic formula is just, hey, A, B, C, get after it, and then you're off to the races there. So I get number 4. So number 4, 1/9 x squared equals negative x minus 18, or minus 1 over 18. So on this one, a lot going on. First of all, we don't have it equal to 0. And second of all, we have some fractions. So let's first just get it equal to 0. Let's move everything over. So that means I'm going to add x to both sides. I'm going to add 1 over 18 to both sides. So plus x plus 1 over 18. So that's going to give me 1/9 x squared plus 1x plus 1 over 18. Let me double check. I have to add x, add 1. Yep, so equal to 0. Now what we could do is we can plug this into the quadratic formula as is. A equals 1/9, B equals 1, C equals 1/18. That's going to get very messy very quickly. So let's just clear out the fractions. Let's get rid of the fractions by multiplying by an LCD, which is going to be 18. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 18 because 9 goes into 18, 18 goes into 18. So let's just clear it out. Now we are going to be dealing with a B term of equal to 18, but that's completely fine. We could do that. So 18 times 1/9 is 2x squared. Plus 18 times 1 is 18x, plus 18 times 1 over 18 is 1, equal to 0 times 18 is 0. Now we can use quadratic formula. A equals 2, B equals 18, C equals 1. So plug it into the quadratic formula, negative b, so negative 18, plus minus square root of b squared, minus 4 times our a value of 2 times our c value of 1 all over 2 times a. Okay, so we got a little bit of a messy radical here. So 18 squared minus 4 times 2 times 1 is going to be 316. Over 4. So 316. I can't stop thinking about wrestling when I see the numbers 316. So 316 is 4 times 79. So that's going to be 2 root 79. Not the cleanest simplification here. So negative 18 plus 2. Oops. So 2 square root of 79 over 4. Same thing we just talked about in the last one. I could factor and simplify because we have this 4. I can factor out of 2. 2 goes into 2. 2 goes into 18. So I can factor out of 2. So I'm going to factor out of 2, get negative 9 plus and minus square root of 79 over 4. 2 goes into 2 once. 2 goes into 4 twice. So this would go to negative 9 plus minus square root of 79 all over 2, which would give us our solutions of negative 9 plus square root of 79 over 2 and negative 9 minus square root of 79 all over 2. So a little messy, not complicated, not difficult, but just messy. That leads us to the discriminant. The discriminant allows us to determine the number and type of solution. So the discriminant is that little piece of the quadratic formula I was talking about before, was b squared minus 4ac. That inside of the radical piece, b squared minus 4ac, You could use this to determine the number and type of solution. So for example, if we get b squared minus 4ac, if b squared minus 4ac is positive, if this result is positive, then you have two real solutions. Two real solutions, so two numbers that are in the real number system. If you get 0 in the discriminant, so if the result is 0, then you have one real solution. And if your discriminant is negative, then you have two complex but not real solutions. And think about that. Think about these scenarios. If my discriminant is positive, so that term underneath the radical, so b squared minus 4ac is positive 5, or positive 4, it's just going to be the square root of 4 plus minus square root of 4, which is 2. So then that just gives us two real numbers. What if it's 0? So if I have that plus minus, so it's, for example, like plus minus, if it's like 5 plus minus square root of 0, square root of 0 is 0. So 5 plus minus 0 is just 5 plus 0 is 5. 5 minus 0 is 5. So you just get that one solution, right? So that makes sense. And then the negative, if we have a negative discriminant, that's like negative 16, then you have I. Then you get the introduction of the imaginary number I. So it'd be 4I. So now we're in the non-real number system. So it makes sense. Checks out. Okay. So number 5, use the discriminant to determine the number and type of solutions of each quadratic. So using the discriminant here, we have x squared plus 4x plus 4. So all we're worried about is the discriminant. So that's b squared minus 4 times a times c. So b squared is 4 squared is 16, minus 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 4 is 16, 16 minus 16 is 0, so we get 0, so that means that there is one real solution. Letter B, 5x squared plus 7. This, don't get fooled on this. A is 5. What is B? B is 0 because we don't have like an x, so it's 0x. C equals 7. So b squared minus 4ac. So 0 minus 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 5 is 20. Times 7 is 140. So 0 minus 140 is negative 140. We have a negative discriminant, which means that we have two complex but not real solutions. And last one, 3x squared minus 2x minus 2. So b squared, negative 2 squared, be careful here. B is negative 2, so it's going to be negative 2 times negative 2 for the b squared, minus 4 times a times c. So I'm just going to go to my calculator. So negative 2 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 2. Make sure you're doing negative 2 squared. Negative 2 times negative 2. Put it in parentheses in your calculator. Negative 2 squared. That's going to give you a positive 28. So positive, two real solutions. Discriminant is pretty useful. Let's look at some applications. So applications. Number 8, Batman is creating a holding cell for criminals he catches. He wants the area to be 400 square feet. Also, the length must be 50 feet longer than the width. Find the dimensions of the pen. So we have like a rectangular pen here that he's creating. Let me try again. Perfect. If we want the area to be 400 square feet, so the length times the width is equal to 400. The length must be 50 feet longer than the width, so if we call the width x, the length is going to be x plus 50. So that means the length or width times x plus 50 equals 400. Find the dimensions. So we have to create a quadratic. X times x is x squared, plus 50 times x is 50x. And I'm going to knock out 2 steps here. We want to get this set equal to 0 to use quadratic formula. So I'm going to subtract 400. So this is going to be minus 400 equal to 0. So now let's just jump into the quadratic formula. So negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac. Oops, that's negative 400. There we go. All over 2a. So on the inside of the radical, 50 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 400. So negative 50 plus and minus the square root of, and I'm getting 4100 all over 2 times 1. 4100, a little bit of a rough one there. Let's see, 4100. Let's divide that by 100. What's that going to be, 41 times 100? Yeah. So square root of 4100 is 41 times 100. Square root of 100 is 10. So 10 root 41. So negative 50 plus and minus 10 square root of 41 over 2. Let's look at our potential solutions here. So we have negative 50 plus 10 square root 41 all over 2. And then we have another potential solution of negative 50 minus 10 root 41 all over 2. Think about which one makes sense. And if you don't know, just like go to your calculator, do negative 50 plus 10 square root 41, because we're talking about actual distance here. So we do want some sort of approximation. So if you do that, negative 50 plus 10 root 41, you get 14.03, divide by 2. So the rough approximation would be 7.02 or just 7. And then the other one, I'm not even going to do this one, because if you check out the other one, that's a negative minus 10 root 41, so you're going to go further into the negatives. So this one's out because we can't have a negative distance. So that means x is roughly 7.02 or just 7. So find the dimensions of the pen. That means this is a 7 by 57 pen. 7 feet by 57 feet. And then last one, number 9, a kaiju has a height of 900 feet. A person on top throws a rock upward at an initial velocity of 24 feet per second. The height of the rock h in feet after t seconds is given by this equation. How long after the pebble is thrown will it hit the ground? So we want to use quadratic. Now you could also try to make these numbers a little bit smaller, because we have 16, 24, 900. Let's see if, I know 8 goes into 16, 8 goes into 24. Let's see if 8 goes into 900. I doubt it. No. All right, let's try 4. So 900 divided by 4. Yes, okay. So we can factor out a 4 at least. So we're going to set negative 16t squared plus 24t plus 900 equal to 0. I'm going to factor out a 4 from everything. So this would be 4 negative 4t squared plus 6t. So I'm factoring out a 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 24 divided by 4 is 6. Plus 900 divided by 4 is 225. Equal to 0. It's a constant, so it drops out because it's equal to 0. So then 0 divided by 4 is just 0. So I don't have to worry about that. So negative 4t squared plus 6t plus 225 equal to 0. Now we could use the quadratic formula. So quadratic formula is negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, 225. This is going to be messy. All over 2 times negative 4. Let's do the inside. 6 squared is going to be 36, so 36 minus 4 times negative 4 times 225. So I get x equals negative 6 plus and minus square root of 3636. Wouldn't be the worst idea to just double check what you entered in your calculator. All over 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. I highly doubt this is going to be a perfect square. You know. Let's see. 36 divided by 36, 36. Nice. 36 divides. So square root of 36, 36 is 36 times 101. Square root of 36 is 6, so I get 6 root 101. So I'm going to go over here. X equals negative 6 plus and minus 6 square root 101 over negative 8. And I know you could factor out a 2 from 6 and 6 because it simplifies with 8. But we're talking about a real life application here. We don't necessarily have to do that. We can just move on with the decimal values. So we're going to set up our two answers, negative 6 plus 6 square root 101 divided by negative 8. And then our other potential answer of negative 6 minus 6 square root 101 divided by negative 8. Think about the answers here of what it might be. Because if I do negative 6 plus 6 square root 101 for that first one, I get a positive number. Because negative 6 plus 6 root 101 is going to be positive 54 divided by a negative. That's going to make it negative. So this first one is out because that's going to be a negative answer. I'm talking about distance, talking about time here. This is how long will it take to hit the ground. So that's a negative. I can't have a negative. So let's look at the other one. Negative 6 minus 6 square root 101, which is a negative 66.3, but I'm dividing by a negative 8. So I get a positive 8.3. So how long will it take to hit the ground? 8.3 seconds. Good applications to the quadratic formula.